Best Irish music on irishradio.org with Jerry Byrne.
I'm Jerry Byrne, Irish Radio it is. Now, since the advent of COVID and all the rest of it, I was speaking to the great and the good of Irish music and entertainment and other fields indeed also. I've got a gentleman now who has spent an absolute lifetime involved in music, an accordion maestro of the highest degree. I'm delighted to say hello to the one and only Dessie Hynes. Dessie, how are you?
Grand, Jerry. And how is yourself?
Not bad at all, not bad at all. So, surviving your way. Dessie, you've had a heck of a career in music.
Well, it was very interesting because it wasn't just a matter of playing in a band or something. I started off back in, we'd say 1976. And I was playing at bits and things before that, but there was a local group at home called the Star Tracks. And there were, Quinns is the name of the family. I was from Crossakeel in County Meath. And then I moved on then. I played then in 1977. In March of 77, I joined a group called Matty Fox and Misty.
I remember them well.
Matty Fox is from Ballinallee, County Longford. And at that time he had a hit called Does My Ring Hurt Your Finger? And our group was a cabaret group. At that time it was Matty Fox, Ollie Kennedy, Eddie Quinn and myself. And Eddie played the drums, Matty played guitar and sang, Ollie played bass, I played keyboards, mandolin and whistle. And we used to do cabaret. And at that time we would be playing maybe, say it was a 2-hour show or whatever it was. And at that time you'd have to be in the pubs. You'd have to be in the pub and set up by maybe 8:30 or you wouldn't get in. Not with our group anyway. It was the place to be packed. And we would do maybe an hour of dancing, maybe 20 minutes or a half hour of cabaret, which consisted of, we used to do sort of comedy stuff like The Laughing Policeman or But You Love Me Daddy, where Ollie Kennedy would dress up as an old man, or he was doing Granddaddy, he'd be dressing up as an old man. But You Love Me Daddy, he'd dress up as a child and a big dolly in his mouth and sit in Matty's knee. You know, you're 12, your 3-year-old face is a dirty disgrace, but you love me, Daddy. And it was The Laughing Policeman and all different types of stuff where people would be sitting down rather than dancing. That's what the cabaret end of it was. And then you'd finish off with the dancing. So, and we were doing all sorts of stuff. I would be singing ballads and stuff at the time because I'd be playing the mandolin as well. And from then on, 1982, around sometime in September, around the autumn of 1982, I joined Foster and Allen. And they weren't too long after having their being on the top of the pops and had a hit with a bunch of time. So then they were doing all the concerts. And they needed to, we'd say, as Brendan trying to say, well, they needed to augment the band. Yes. And Ollie Kenny was playing bass, I was playing keyboard, so we both joined them at that time. And then we were doing all the world tours of, like we were doing South Africa, we were doing Canada, America, Australia, New Zealand, England and Ireland. And I moved from that, playing with them then to band leader, because they brought in drums then as well. So I was arranging the music, with the result then that I ended up producing their albums as well when I'd be off tour. So I was producing their albums or doing the arrangements. So it was the same thing with the band. I was band leader then in that capacity then for ages. I didn't finish with them until the year 2000. I was 18 years with them. Right. I was also doing session work on different people's albums like John Hogan, Mick Flavin, Big Tom, Philomena Begley, any of the albums that was gone, if they needed session work done, I would do it. And I suppose one advantage I would have had, that if I came in, I could do piano, mandolin, accordion, tin whistle, bodhrán, whereas most people that would go into a session would be maybe just fluent on one instrument. So I could do better deals. I suppose that's what got me a lot of work. And then I produced albums for I was producing Foster and Allen's albums. I produced an album for Charlie Lansborough, the first one he did in Ireland. I think it was called Songs of the Heart or something like that. I produced that album, and I did stuff for Richie Cavendish, Seamus Moore. I just can't remember all the names. But to me, it was just all in a day's work. But I'm telling you, I was very busy and I was very versatile. Plus, we were doing the tours, and then between the tours, I would have been off, and I've been working in the studio doing studio work. And at that particular time, there was a shortage of keyboard players, because most of the keyboard players would have been playing in pubs and happy enough to do the work there. So I was getting calls from, we'd say, Trudy Lawler, Jimmy Buckley, loads of different people saying, we're going over to England, we're doing a weekend, will you come with us? We need a keyboard player, you know. So I ended up on the Galty. I used to play on the Galty that often with so many bands that there was a fella who used to do the door there. I can't remember his name. He was an old man at the time. He says, we're going to have to make a bed for you down here. He said, Dessie, because he said, no matter who comes in here, he says, you're with them. So that was it. And then after 2000, T.R. and Alice and myself decided we would team up together and do the social dancing scene. And Frankie Score came along with us, played along with us at that time. And then that came to an end, and I continued doing the social dancing scene myself. And I was doing Ireland and England, that was good enough for me, and I was in control of what was going on for myself, so I could do organise things as I wanted them. And that was grand. And then the next thing was, at the latter end, as my father used to say, God be good to him, Frankie came along and he says, will you be interested in teaming up? And I says, I wouldn't. I says, sure, why would I? Like I says, sure, I'm doing grand on my own. But I says, well, like, what would you bring to the thing? But he says, sure, I could play the fiddle and the guitar, he says, and add a new dimension to it. Well, I says, that'd be all right. And then I had to weigh up, then, you know, there's going to be a 50-50 job. So I had to sleep on this one. I says, I'll tell you what I'll do. I says, if you take over the management of it, and you do the gigs, do all the gigs, which I hated looking for. There was two things I hated for doing. In particular, there were stressful things. It's trying to get the gigs together and try to get paid from you could go into bother with some of that. So I says, Frank, if you look after the money end of it, and you do the management end of it, I says, and if we decide to record, I says, you have great, you've a great talent, I says, for promotion. You know all the contacts. I says, I can do the record production. I says, I'm well able to do that. I says, I've been doing that for years. So he says, if you're prepared to do that, I says, we'll do a deal. So with the result, we did it. And things were going, and we brought out a few singles and videos in no time, and they were going well. And then Frankie got sick, and I got sick. And that was the end of the whole thing.
Right.
That was the end of it. I had to just go off the road. And it was only a matter of time, because I was going to say, when I reach 60 years of age, I'm not going to be travelling the roads of Ireland and England doing this. I'm going to retire at that stage. So it just happened a little bit before the planned time. But the main thing is that both of us are healthy again, so it doesn't make one bit of difference. But that's really my career now, Jerry.
Right.
For all it's worth. After more the people listen to it.
No, that's a heck of a career, like, and well done. Well, first of all, I have to say I'm glad that yourself and indeed Frank are back in good health again. It's great to see that, and I must say, like, you know, that really has been a heck of a career, because I mean you've covered sub miles. I mean you've to have worked with Foster and Allen. I mean that was going the world at that stage with Foster and Allen.
Oh, there's a lot of miles up on my clock, I'll tell you. Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
And at least we came through without any accidents or nothing. It was a good way to be leaving the road.
Indeed. That is the thing, you know. But you played in. You played literally around the world with Foster and Allen.
I did, yeah.
You know, they're incredibly successful, and I think it's because of the likes of them, and also the likes of having guys like you involved with them, which made the shows so incredible. Like that they, that they've been.
But there would be teamwork. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, there's teamwork there. There has to be. You know, when you want to see a show, it's not just. It doesn't just happen then. You know, there's a lot. You have lighting, and you have sound, and you have musicians, and you have rehearsals, and it's not just a couple of hours people are looking at you.
Indeed. Tell me this: do you miss? I mean, you've retired, but do you miss the road?
Well, I got to the stage now. Excuse me. That I certainly don't. At one time, somebody says to me, "Des, you have to go down. You have a gig in Cork tomorrow." Excuse me. I'd hop into the van. I'd be delighted. I say, "This is great." Well, I tell you one thing: I wouldn't not. All the tea in China wouldn't get me to do it now.
Right.
No, I just couldn't get off the top. I don't miss that. I would miss entertaining people.
Yes.
And I would miss that. But I wouldn't miss... There's a lot of it I wouldn't miss. I wouldn't miss the travelling. I wouldn't miss the journeys now. And I wouldn't miss the business end of it.
Yes. And but one thing, I mean, you know that you'd love the entertaining people and meeting people.
Yeah.
That's
absolutely. All part was a great life. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, I think
it wasn't like a 9-to-5 thing that bore me to tears.
Yes, but
it was different in every.
Indeed, but
different every day. Different every day, Jerry.
Indeed. Oh, yeah, it would be. But the funny enough, that's the one thing actually that so many artists say, and particularly when they've done it for a long number of years, they so many of them have said to me that the one thing that they do, they do not miss is the journeys and the miles.
No, when you stop it for a while, Jerry, you don't. And don't forget, like after I was sick and I thought I could do it, I couldn't, and that's then when I stopped, I just went the other way, and that's there's a time for everything, and that's what. And I did forget to mention I brought a few albums out myself.
You did indeed, yes.
I forgot all about that.
Yes, you did, yeah. The very successful album, Let's Dance, also More Crack, also the songs with the singles that you had with Frank Score. You also you took out Back in Time as well, an instrumental album.
Back in Time I did an instrumental album, is right. And the reason I did that actually, it was back in the Foster and Allen days. I tell you how far back it was. It came out on cassette, and I used to be featured playing the tin whistle. I used to come out and I used to play a couple of reels with Mick Foster, we said the accordion. I used to play the tin whistle and then play a couple of my own. So people used to call it. They say, "Oh, you'd be maybe doing a tour of England." Say, "Oh, yeah, the pipe. That's a lovely instrument. Have you got any records? You played the pipe?" And I'd say, I decided then I would do it, and it says I'll do it playing the piano and the mandolin, the harmonica and the tin whistle and all those things, and that's where that album came from. That's how that came about.
Right.
Excellent. Talking about that, I remember one time playing in a place called Tiverton, down
in Devon,
the south of England.
Yes.
Down in Devon, and it was the Heathcote Hall in Tiverton, and somebody came up and says, "Oh, Dessie, we like the accordion down here, And he says, "Do you've got any CDs?" I says, "Yeah, I have. Yeah." He says, "How much are they?" And at the time, I think they were about £10 or something like that. I says, £10. Yeah. He says, "Well, I tell you," he says, "would you do a deal for a farmer?" I says, "Well," I says, "a tenner and a bale of hay." "Oh, you sell it for the tenner," he says.
Right. Oh, mighty stuff. Well done. Well done, Dessie, and at all, I'll have to say. And it's been absolutely, it's been mighty, like to go through a career like that. And well done on the success of it all. And you obviously
look at the draw.
Well, I don't know, Dessie. Listen, you've got to have a lot of talent. In all fairness.
Well, it's not for me to say, I suppose.
Well, no, you've got to have, Dessie, because I mean, to be a multi-instrumentalist, to not alone that, but to to be working with the likes of the calibre of Foster and Allen and numerous other top artists, also to be doing session work on X number of musical instruments, that does take a sort of a special type of talent, and well done on that, and it's
well, thank you.
It really is great.
Yeah, thanks.
Great to to see that. And you've got to acknowledge that, and well done, Dessie. Listen, it's been lovely to catch up with you, and as they say, stay safe and stay well on the times we've got.
Yeah, well, I'm delighted. I'm absolutely delighted. It's a complete surprise and a nice surprise to hear from you. And thanks for thinking of me and giving me the opportunity to be on your show anyway.
It's a real pleasure, Dessie. Real pleasure. And, fingers crossed, you might do maybe a Facebook Live somewhere along the way.
Well, there's a lot of people asking me, and now that you asked me, I'll probably after the Christmas now, I'll get my act together and I might do a Facebook Live. I might do one or two. If I do two, it'll be the very most. But I will do it. I will do it.
Yes, it'll be lovely too.
Because, for maybe nostalgia, and it might keep a couple of people entertained for a while, or it might keep the neighbours out of the sitting room for a while later. I don't know which way it'll work.
Dessie, listen, it'll be great to see you, and you'll be pleasantly surprised at the number of people who would love to see you. Dessie, it's been lovely to chat with you.
Right, Jerry. Thanks a million, and I appreciate it.